There we go. Okay, you should be good. Will just be under my live stream right now, but it's actually the right one. I could change it still. Why you don't like typing the phone emoji into the YouTube search? I wonder how many phone emoji my live streams there are just in the annals of YouTube. Or just on my channel alone. Yeah, yeah. And what you do see of him isn't super low res. Yeah. Yeah, those early menus were kind of rough. I think Florida Man's was the first one that was like kind of the new standard. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up changing the electricity color behind him to something more contrasting, and the flowers in the background is a nice touch too. It just says Florida to me. Do you know you know who Blue Oyster Cult is, right? You heard of that band? The band that did yeah, they released a song recently called Florida Man. Yeah. And it's just like various talking about various different guys, but they're all like doing stupid shit. Like he's talking about one dude who's like fucking a brick wall, and another guy that's like high on meth or something. Yeah, stereotypical Florida man activity. Got a class 1 Florida man activity. Yeah, I feel like this one's better, just because there's a lot more composure in it. It kind of fits with GIRIDA's, kind of not snobby, but smarmy kind of nature. Kind of fits that cell-ness that he still kind of has. Yeah. I still really hope that he's like I know that we've changed him a little bit to make him better in a lot of ways, but I still see him as like the first fucking, even though I feel like Memler will resonate a lot with people just because of how kind of human we've made him, and I think that's a really good change, and I think Memler is like way better off now, and I think he's like definitely, yeah, yeah. And I think he is good, and if we do him right, tell him if he wants an animation one, to do flip a clip. Yeah, you don't have to pay for that one, but that one's good. Yeah, tell him it is a good one. definitely one of the better ones you can get. There's still a lot of little gunk to be cleaned up from his line art. Yeah, I was gonna go back to saying that, like, Garita to me still feels like the most villain-esque villain that we, or like the first one that we really see. But I feel like if we do Memler justice with how we've written him, I feel like he's gonna be one that is gonna be hard to top as a character, just as out of the kind of. Yeah, I mean, it is the catalyst for which everything begins. It's the Goku getting hit by Bulma in her car of the universe. Take my fucking glasses off. I feel like when it comes to the light from my phone, I feel like my glasses work inversely, where they like amplify the light going into the lenses and just fucking bake my retinas. It's just so uncomfortable after a while. Like within half a foot from my face. Pretty close, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate for being as nearsighted as I am. And I've gotten used to just having it at this distance, or at a. Oh, yeah. Oof. What happened with those? You just, yeah. I read about that story of a woman who, like basically never took any of her contacts out, and there was, like, 4 or 5 pairs of them just, like, in her eyes. Just, like, yeah. Well, yeah, she would just, like, go to sleep with them, and they would, like, go elsewhere on her eye to where, like, they weren't in front of her eyes anymore, and then she would just put a new one in. Yeah, it is. And I saw, I don't know, know. I mean, fucking people are stupid. Um, but yeah, I saw pictures of like the pile of them that they had removed. Like they were congealed together and shit and like misshapen. Yeah, well, I mean, I imagine that's why she had to get him taken out in the first place. But I mean, yeah, like he's gotta reload. He's fucking put in a new set of contacts. Yeah, no, I mean that's a horror story up there. That's pretty rough. Yeah, calcified. Got a little bit of bleed, but that's okay. I don't think it's on this layer. It's probably on this one. No. This one. No. This one. No. I really wish I did this with any semblance of sense. Okay, well, of course, this is on a different one. There we go. Let's clean that one up. Purple. There we go. Good. What a guy. What a grand old guy. I feel like there is something that could be said, whether or not it's a detractor, I don't know, of having very kind of our heroes are definitely a lot less kind of instantly recognizable as our villains. I mean, particularly because all of our heroes are just, normal people, and all the villains have to be, a big, active, important face to attach actions to. So, I mean, it makes sense why it is like that. But, like Memler and like the sisters and Garida and Sinew all being very distinct. I would say, I think Filzafel is like the first, maybe Filzafel and Florida Man are the first, like, visually distinct characters. Not from, like, from the rest of the cast, and not so much from, obviously from each other, but yeah, at that point we have departed from normal people. Maybe it's just the early characters, like where all of our yeah, and I certainly to some extent with like once we get to the World War arc, all of our characters, all the heroes have like that tactical or business kind of look, or at least with Chet. And obviously Eric the Green is, again, stays as one of those villains of being one of the most instantly recognizable characters. Probably my favorite design, just overall. He's such a fucking... He's just so... He embodies that, that... Not a cliche, but there have been a few, like, characters that kind of fit with that kind of rambunctious barbarian Viking aesthetic, like like Thor in the early Avenger movies, where he's like, doesn't know anything about the human world, and he just kind of is this big stupid brute that hits things with his hammer. Um, and I don't think I'll even call that a cliche. I think that's just a lovable part of his character. I feel like that's a fun dynamic as a character, especially when you pair him with the kind of enigmatic mastermind, or at least so you think, kind of type with the Ration. I feel like they, as a duo of characters, they work so well because they're so different from each other. And I definitely look forward to writing more interactions, not just between the two of them, but just with them and other characters in general, because they're so funny to me. They have the potential of being very funny characters, and I think all the right ways. There's kind of a Borat essence to both of them, of being this foreign, not menace, but they're so unequivocally like not from around here that it's just There's two great videos that I watched today by Polygon.com, and it was about how wrestling and video games have become such an ingrained part of each other, and how Bruce Lee and fighting games are, how he basically shaped fighting games with not only his look, but the action that he provided to cinema, and with his philosophies about fighting and shit like that. And they were really good videos. But it was the wrestling one starts off as every game you could ever play that has people in it, people fighting in it, has wrestling to some degree. Fuck. Drop my controller on accident. And from Saints Row, having running up to people and suplexing them, or just all the random fucking moves you can do in Skyrim, also suplexing someone, and how that kind of took its roots as an early thing when animators would have to generally would have a very small amount of space on the screen to kind of imply power and imply the process of a move. They couldn't get too complicated because either the animation had to be very short and limited, or the screen just wasn't big enough to show flashy, complex moves. And how wrestling, professional wrestling in its art form is all about that. You could be at the back stands and which guy's doing which move because of all the different factors that lead up into it. Like he was talking about the anticipation, the jackknife powerbomb, or no, not the jackknife powerbomb. There's a move very similar to that where Eric the Green throws their head between his legs. But instead of doing the normal powerbomb thing, the guy, the attacker, puts his arms out in a cross, and I can't remember exactly how the move goes. Fucking moth just flew into my eyeball. No, I don't think it's it's basically the high cross. Yeah, I remember it being. The process of the move is basically the high cross, but he didn't call it the high cross. I don't think he called it something else. But I really couldn't fucking tell you. No, he didn't call it that either. It was. He may have said high cross. I don't think he said high cross though. It wasn't Sheamus. It was. He wasn't old. mean, he's probably older now, certainly, because I think it was old footage, but um, he just had that greasy long hair, strong chin wrestler type that is every wrestler. I know I've just described every wrestler, but uh, I don't know. It's not important. But he's like even from the backstands, you know what that move is. You know what he's doing. You know what he's setting up to do, or if a certain wrestler's going up onto the top ropes to do a move. He was talking about how, like, in fighting games or just in games with fighting choreography in general, that like wrestling, that kind of professional wrestling mantra is so ingrained into how we see moves, and how, like, certain characters are built around that whole archetype, whether or not it be fighting games or like beat 'em up games or something like that. And it was a really cool video. And he was talking about how video games have kind of bled back into wrestling. Like, he was talking about how a lot of wrestlers are, or a lot of wrestlers nowadays are avid gamers and shit like that. And he's talking about the one guy that came dressed as Sans. Or he showed a female wrestler that was wrestling while cosplayed as Tracer. But I can't recall her name. Yeah, and the Bruce Lee one was really good too. Talking about how his, like, the philosophy that he portrayed in fighting, of seeing fighting as this kind of, that kind of, like, I don't really even know how to describe it. I mean, it's like all I could really think of is like Bruce Lee-isms, like the quintessential Bruce Lee kind of, how like he would test and bait fighters in his movies and his films, and how that's such an integral part of, like playing footsies in a fighting game, like where, two people are just waiting for an opening, or like in a ways of like kind of conditioning your opponent as well as yourself, of like, I know they're going to do this move, so I know how to react to it, and I know how they react when I do this move, so, like, that kind of, I mean, it's basically strategy, but, there's like I feel like strategy doesn't do it in the right terms when it comes to the one-on-one duel like that. It's like, learning your opponent, and, it I feel like it's a little more metaphysical than just applying strategy to it. And of course, he touched on like how the Bruce Lee character in every fighting game ever is like, that's become like a staple. And yeah, and he was talking about how, like, Bruce Lee's movies also kind of shaped, fighting games as we know them, and how, like, obviously he was like, there was obviously games where two guys moved back and forth and hit each other before that, but like the Bruce Lee made such a, he was such an impact on like the one-on-one duel, and like, the choreography of moves and everything like that, and the flashiness of it, and how, like, I can't remember if he was saying Street Fighter, or it was some game around that time, was like the creator admitted, he's like, yeah, I had watched Enter the Dragon or something, and was like, what if we made that, or something along the lines to that, and how, like, as character rosters increased, it became a, like, he talked about how movies, like, because that was something I didn't know, is that by the time, or rather, Bruce Lee, like, was working on Game of Death, which is the movie that he died filming, Yeah, he worked on that before a lot of the other movies that he's known for. Um, and like I can't remember exactly how he described it, but like by the time that Bruce Lee was big in the West, then like widely recognized, he was already dead. Um, yeah, and it became a staple of like, you know, Hong Kong directors and, you know, like Western uh, filmmakers to try and copy that essence of Bruce Lee because they knew he was already gone. And obviously, it's fucking Bruce Lee. You're not going to even hold a candle to what he could do and what he made out of the movies he was in, um, or what he made the movies he was in to be, um, and how he talked how that was obviously kind of so in the movie kind of business, but how it, you know, also became not a trope, but kind of a its own rite of passage almost in gaming, you know, of you know, every fighting game almost paying their respects to Bruce Lee in some way or another. Because I mean, he's such a quintessential character, you know, like he doesn't really even need much as a design. Like when you look at either it's the yellow jumpsuit or it's him in, you know, the black kung fu pants that are pulled up past his fucking belly button for some reason. Um, like he is one of the most instantly recognizable figures, just because he's that kind of like ripped, totally fucking ripped, kind of very dehydrated, you know, body type, that wide lateral muscle wingspan, you know, that thing he would do where he would like flare out his lateral muscles like the fucking hood of a cobra or something like that. Um, and like, you know, basically every Bruce Lee character copies that. You know, if they're not in a yellow jumpsuit, they're in, you know, they're in the black, you know, baggy pants, and they all fucking sound like they've huffed helium. Um, and that was a really cool video too. That was a very insightful look into things. Yeah, martial law and what was the other one? They were talking about some of the newer wrestling in the other wrestling video, or in the wrestling video he was talking about how like some of the newer age wrestling foundations have a lot more, you know, fast pace, kind of, you know, off the ropes, kind of, you know, the way luchadors do shit. Um, yeah, and he was talking. He was like, it looks less like the two heavyweights pacing about the ring and more like a Tekken tournament if everyone picked King. Uh, and I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, yeah. I that move in WWE is such a bizarre move to me. It's like, yeah, he sitting pile drivers him from not even leaving the sitting position. Yeah, that there is so many, like, it's crazy how, like, I would love to see someone analyze the kind of evolution of professional wrestling as we know it. Um, like, not so much in like how, you know, it started with, you know, carnival goers and carnival fair operators, being like, let's fudge matches to make things more interesting so we can sell more tickets, but more so like what wrestlers had to do in the ring, each night to make shit more interesting, go not only going like from creating these wild personalities with each other, but like or with themselves, but also like just pushing the limit of performance athleticism and acting to like yeah, I have to be able to deliver a monologue but also get hit in the head with a steel chair. uh, I was watching the hot ones, the that interview thing where they just eat hot wings. Yeah, the Undertaker did one recently. um, and yeah, they were talking about how he like hardly ever broke character for like 30 years, and he was just such a cool and down to earth guy, and like he seems like a really interesting individual to me, and I almost wanted to try and find that the Last Ride documentary that he recently was in about his kind of story in wrestling. Yeah, yeah, basically. Cause yeah, cause like him and Stone Cold did one of those, and it's really cool to me to see such a love for what they do, and such a like it just seems like a crazy kind of thing to do for a living, and yet it's just they're both very down to earth, and they're very human people, and they don't. Yeah, yeah. Because he like a guy like like Stone Cold Steve Austin wouldn't enjoy doing it, but like he made himself into that guy in that scenario. It's a very strange uh you know scenario, especially to see both of them out of character, and and like just talking about it so candidly, and talking about how like just the what they do, or what they in the Undertaker's. I guess Stone Cold's retired now too, huh? Or I know he still does stuff, doesn't he? Because he was in that. Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, and they're just is so candid about it. It's a really cool, because it's like not the same as seeing an actor break character, because they break character like every fucking every time. It's like every time that you actually see them, they've broken character, and like there's so many interviews and so many fucking stupid pop articles or whatnot with actors giving their fucking 2 cents that no one gives a shit about. But when you have someone like the Undertaker who lived this character for so long, to see him just being like, yeah, man, I mean, it's just time to sit back for a while. And I mean, that is like what a deserving retirement too, because he's such a universally known character, even outside of wrestling, probably more so than a lot of other wrestlers, probably up there with like Andre the Giant, or just for being fucking Andre the Giant, but also like Macho Man and Hulk Hogan, the wrestlers that everyone knows, that like everyone knows the Undertaker because he's the fucking Undertaker. um, and he's such a I don't know if cultural icon is the word I would say, but he's such a. Yeah, that would be a rough. I imagine it's a rough time for them. Even it's already a rough time for them. Yeah, because he's John Cena. Um, I mean, it's a rough time for wrestling. It really is. I feel like that it's hard to deny that. I mean, maybe particularly for the WWE. I mean, the AEW has seemingly done really well. Um, yeah. Um, I feel like it does kind of come from, like, I feel like it would be more fun if they embraced those, like, if they re-embraced those stupid gimmicky wrestlers. Because obviously there was a time where shit got real stupid when there were, clowns and guys in chicken costumes or, stupid shit. Yeah, barbers. Um, yeah, yeah, because, like, yeah, obviously, but that was when, like, they were learning it, and they're back to relearning it, and obviously they have some tried and true, but, like, Orange Cassidy always comes to mind as being, like, what an interesting character, the nonchalant hands in pockets always wrestler. Yeah, even if he's a nobody, he becomes infinitely more interesting for the fact that he's, you know he is Orange Cassidy, I guess. But I feel like, I have heard a lot of cool things about what Bray Wyatt did with, like, the Fiend, and how he, yeah, and that's him embracing that fucking, he's like, what if I was just really weird? What if you just made shit really weird? Well, yeah, he was like, this weird thing is working, but it's not quite working. So what if I got really weird? And obviously, who's the one guy? The, you know them. You know the one. I, what is his name? Chin Chin has his entrance. Finn Balor, yeah. Oh, is he not? Is he really? Well, he does not come off as a good guy to me. But that, to me, that immediately becomes, that's like, oh, he's not just a wrestler, he's a demon king or something, and that's obviously infinitely more, that resonates with me more than, I'm sweaty WrestleMan number 58,000 who's here to wrestle. And yeah, yeah. I feel like Hulk Hogan only has the standout because he did the sweaty wrestle guy so well. Like, he was the sweaty wrestle guy, and you had to be someone else because he was already the wrestle guy, or he was already the macho. I did I say macho, even though there's a macho man already, but he's that macho American, uh, character. And I feel like that's what they should do. They should go back to creating kind of personas for their characters of, like, this is, and setting them apart from just being generic wrestle guy. But this guy's also an alien or something. I don't know. And because, I mean, that's, when you really look at it, that's what we did with, that is the origins of our universe to some extent, of, like, we took with what we had, and obviously we were like, okay, we have Hank Hill, he's not that interesting, but what if he was 7 foot tall and had the Infinity Gauntlet? He becomes more interesting then. And like, we had Chad, who Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, I feel like they should do that. I mean, they already have, you know, such a fiction and such a, a mythology with a lot of their, with a lot of the, the way a lot of people look at, the storylines and the classic wrestlers. Um, I feel like people like it when shit gets wild, so they should just make shit wild again. Um, Cause like maybe the fact that it was easier to sell to people in the '80s, cause like there wasn't, people weren't exposed to, Demon Guy or whatever the fuck Bray Wyatt is, or um, and like I was going to say, I was feel like the Undertaker embodies that because he's such a he turned himself into such a representation of that character, um, and like he did it so faithfully. He's like not breaking character ever, and he became the Undertaker, like literally to an extent. And I feel like that's kind of why, even going beyond the fact that he's basically, like the final boss of WWE for, such a long history of time. I feel like it goes more than that because like isn't that Brock Lesnar's whole thing too? But Brock Les yeah, but just no qualms aside with Brock Lesnar because he is a freak athlete and that dude's a monster. But he doesn't. People don't know Brock Lesnar like they do the Undertaker. Yeah, he's Brock Lesnar is who he is. He's a total freak. And I think the Undertaker said that in his interview. Someone was saying like, I think he got asked. He's like, who's the best? I don't. It wasn't technical wrestler. That one was someone else. He said someone else for that one. I think it was like the best performance athlete or something, but I can't remember what exactly he was asked. But he did give Brock Lesnar as an answer. He was like, "Yeah, you can't really beat Brock Lesnar's overall vibe. He's just such a fucking freakazoid of a human. He just doesn't even look human." Um, oh wow, really? I mean that. Yeah, that kind of worked. Cause didn't the Undertaker kind of have a guy like that too? Yeah, who's the Paul Bearer. That's amazing. Paul Bearer. Wow. Oh shit. That is that that's that's the black guy, right? Who's like uh who am I thinking of a different person of the guy that's like you're going one on one with the Undertaker. Okay. Oh, was he? Uh oh. Yeah, I mean that shit, that's interesting. That gets people's attention when suddenly this wrestler is dead and, isn't Kane supposed to be his brother or something who died in a fire or something? Yeah. Wow. Yeah, yeah. That I was just about to say that is peak counterculture '90s WWE shenanigans. Oh, Jesus. He was a baby punter. Well, that's the shit they gotta do. I mean, that exact stuff might not fly nowadays, but shit along that same like, what the fuck are we even talking about? You know, I mean, we did. That's the joke of like wrestling is redneck anime, and it, that's how you make wrestling good. Is you just make it like the same crazy convoluted storylines as anime. You have to bring out the best of what it is, and you can't have an anime with a bunch of sweaty guys in jorts wrestling each other. But you add a few dead guys and a few aliens and demons in the mix, and then you get a couple of baby punters and fuck a few corpses, and now you're getting somewhere. I'm gonna try and conjure the same kind of Rasengan energy with this blue energy orb. That's the Rasengan, right? Isn't that a blue? He like touches it a bunch of times or something. Yeah, to finger it. That's the technical term. That's what he learned in ninja school. This is where you finger the Rasengan. Boku no Jutsu. Was it a story? I was gonna bring up what might be a controversial take, but I feel like the natural process of our universe probably involves getting rid of every character that isn't ours, and then just having our characters. Like, obviously wouldn't get rid of all of the unnecessary characters if we could spare having them, but I think we're down to like 6 slots or something right now. Yeah, I think we're down to a pretty low number now. Yeah. Like, yeah. What I was saying is like the I did say the universe. That's my bad. The logical kind of end result for the WWE roster would be having only our characters. As much as I would hate to get rid of so many of our characters, because so many of our characters are... Yeah, I know. And we have so many good characters that are still on yours. Well, we have some good characters that are on yours. We have a few good characters on yours. Yeah, that's maybe not entirely true. Um, um, but Dad's in, like, where is he? He's in Miami for work stuff, which I'm glad about because we really needed the money. I might have to, like, pause stream or something like that so I can respond to him. Fucking WWE music, man. It's so bad. I did, but like until I press start, it will still play the WWE garbage. So what do we have? And obviously it would be harder for some characters rather than others, since, like, Shinji, we can't really make. Well, I've already checked to try and make the haircut for the antagonist spy character. I can't really do. But, you know. Please, for the love of God, be good. Like, man. Not looking forward to recreating all of our characters. Gonna say it now. But maybe, in a way, it's our chance to do a lot of them in the way they should have been done this whole time. Yeah. Yeah, I really hope they don't go the route of making it full wrestling sim and losing out on the kind of create your own fantasy that it took on. Let me find out how to pause stream so I can text my dad back. I don't even know how to begin to do that. I don't think there's just a pause stream option. Yeah, I don't want to go live on YouTube. I'm already live on YouTube. I could just set it to unlisted for a second. And again, that would still capture. Fuck. How will I do that? Don't want to take too long to wait to text him, so I do need to figure this out. I guess I could just stop stream and then restart it. Hopefully that won't be a whole fucking ordeal. Oh wait, keep and act it so you can... Okay, it should be back online now. Fuck off, the escapist. Why you gotta wait till I'm streaming to fucking give me all my stupid YouTube notifications? Is the stream back up? Okay. Yeah. GIRIDA-O. So we're gonna call that name in the moveset list. Up there with Big Bang Attack in terms of stupid fucking names. It's basically identical too. Yeah. That's always an issue when I'm showing people new characters. I'm like, well, he's an alien warlord. His name's Adolf Memler, but it has nothing to do with Adolf Hitler. And he's also a deadbeat dad. We have another character named Chad Thundercock. Look forward to seeing how he changes as a character, what he ends up being. Man, if, and I will say if, out of humility, how are we feeling with that? You talking to me? You talking to me? How are we feeling with GIRIDA-O? But also, you know, if, and like I said, I will say if, it really does take off, I just look forward to the, you know, like giving a Q&A or something and trying to describe how the crazy circumstances in which our universe formed. He's like, okay, well, we had the Chad meme on WWE, and we had him fight a garbage guy who was really shitty at the time, and Hank Hill was there, and Prometheus was also there at some point, and he had a character named the Sexecutioner. Yeah. That to me seems like just a really funny conversation to have. Hell, even if it doesn't, you know, become big. Just like, so I was once trying to make a video game about you're gonna want to sit down for this. Put this here. What are we thinking on the background? Are we happy with the shading? Okay. Can't be garbage at YouTube. I don't know. If I can ask Jake Paul, Logan Paul, Rice Gum. Yeah, I saw that meme you sent me about it. And how black people all over Twitter are to disowning him. Yeah. Man, what that sucks. I really feel for him in that scenario. I mean, I don't know who he is. Yeah. I was like, oh, Jake Paul's still doing boxing? I thought that was just a meme thing that he did. Yeah. It was just a street fight. He's just beating up random, well-known black people he finds on the street. What was I gonna say? But yeah, I don't know anything about Nate Robinson. I don't know. I no judge of his character because I don't know. He could be an absolute fucking dickhead for all I know. But like, no one deserves to get fucking knocked out in front of millions of people by Jake fucking Paul. Like that. I just, man. That yeah. Well, I mean, that is, I mean, there is something to be said about the difference between combat, or like, a visceral sport like boxing and, basketball. They are two very different beasts, and no matter how athletic you are on the court, once you step into the ring, it really is a different, there are not many people lining up to punch you in the face in basketball. And who was it? Was it Ali or Tyson who said everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face? Sounds like an Ali thing to say, but I'm not sure. I'm now a racist for getting those two people mixed up, or a quote by them mixed up. But like, there is something to be said about that. And Mike Tyson, he leaned into it. That to me is what sold it, because he like amplified Jake's punch by like 3 times by leaning. He was, I guess he was going in for a punch when Jake made the hit, but that was honestly one of the most brutal knockouts that I've ever seen, and it really sucks that Jake Paul got it. He just face planted, dude. Yeah, and no one talks about the fight that Mike Tyson had, like, literally right after that. But everyone talks about that dude getting floored by Jake Paul. And that, I really feel for you. No one deserves that. No one deserves to get knocked out by Jake Paul. That's rough. I really feel for him on that one. No matter what kind of person you are. It could have been Adolf Hitler, and I've been like, wow, that's rough, bud. That really sucks. I saw a great meme that was like a screenshot of the Mike Tyson. Who was he fighting? Roy someone? Yeah. But I saw that it was a screenshot of them fighting, and they had photoshopped Nate to still be laying on the ground. And that had the caption was like, they didn't even move him out of the ring. Oh man, that was, and all the Muhammad Ali posts of Jake kind of vaguely making that pose. Uh, yeah, so I'm just saying, like, every racist white barbershop is gonna have that picture up there. Christ. That is one of the worst fates that can befall a human, being utterly decimated by Jake Paul. I can't. I really do feel for you on that one. That sucks. Yeah, I don't know. I think that was the thing. I feel like I read that somewhere that he wanted to get into boxing, and I guess they were like, Jake Paul's another fucking like no name entry level amateur boxer. Yeah, and obviously, like Jake Paul being a well known YouTuber, they're like, okay, so naturally this, people will watch this fight. People are going to watch the Mike Tyson fight right after, you know, just makes sense. Uh, but like, I don't think anyone was expecting that. That was just, wow. I mean, I guess I could give a little credit to Jake Paul as an athlete. No. Hello. Just named you. What are we feeling on the power up thing? Kind of power up aura. So I'm not sure I'm feeling it. I feel like I might want to redo it or something, but I don't know. Yeah, I feel like the GIRIDA does kind of embody the power up kind of meme, as far as our most of our universe goes. I mean, I feel like it's a cool thing because I feel like a lot of our characters do also. Like, I feel like it's not too. I mean, it is such an anime and fighting game thing that, he's a fucking look at what's his power level or his power up sequence or whatever. But like, I feel like GIRIDA kind of owns that first. He's the first character depicted ever doing his fucking power up in any game related media, and I feel like he kind of has that as a fun, kind of like how first Florida Man was the first character that I animated, in an idle stance or animated it with the intent of making it for the game. I feel like he kind of owns that little bit of history, and I feel like it's fun to keep that. If that's not being too metaphysical. Yeah, I was just thinking about that earlier while I was laying down. I was like, man, all the cursed color switches of characters. Like, I briefly imagined Florida Man, but his robe and headband are red. And I just imagined that, to me, was just, like, wrong. It's just like, it just doesn't feel right to me. flowers are blue, yeah. Like, I imagine GIRIDA with a blue shawl or something like that. Or, like, I don't know, I think Angel with black and gold would be pretty fucking sick, honestly. But that's... Yeah. And she... yeah. Unless it's the really shitty Dragon Ball alternate color schemes that you can use. It's like, what if you do you want your character to literally look like shit? You want the doo-doo cell literally look like feces? Because you can. What are you feeling about that? Kind of avant-garde dazzle camo. Kind of black and purple. Should I like blur it a little bit or blur it? Okay, but what if it was halftone? Oh, Jesus. Wait until you get to see that. It's meant to look like the dotted printing on like a comic book, but it always looks terrible. I don't know why it looks the way it does, but it doesn't look anything like it should. Might add a bit more contrast to it, just so that there's more focus on him and his kind of power up. Feel that. Fuck off, Macy. I don't care about you liking my memes at fucking... What time is it? 8 o'clock at night. Get a life. Yeah. One of my school friends just liking a meme that I sent. Stop it! I'm doing a stream! How are we feeling that? You think that's good? That's solid? I don't know if you've seen it yet. I've sent these memes like 17 hours ago. Why are you just liking them now? Alright, I guess that's exportate. Definitely a net improvement on original GIRIDA menu. Let's see what else do I got here. I really like this Kiryu one that I started. Might just like finish this someday, just as of like, you know, just for the sake of doing so, because I like where it started. I actually got his face for once, because I've tried to draw him before, but I can never really... There's something about his kind of sad Asian man eyes that I can't ever really get. No, it's just two voices, just the male and female voice. Yeah. Yeah, but you can customize their fucking dingus though. I've been saying this since like this game came out. I think I'm gonna end stream. I might start a WWE stream though, because I just kind of want to watch some wrestling if you're still interested.